Is this thing on? Are we live? It looks like we're live. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for supporting the channel. If you guys have given me super thanks, a lot of times I don't see those, but for you guys that have, thank you so very much for that. For you guys that always contribute to the live show, again, thank you so much for your continued support. So the channel needs to keep going. In saying that, if you're watching the video and you start getting blasted with ads, give the video a few days. It will take some time to get the ads purged, if you will. It's like an automatic thing that happens with these videos. Don't have a whole lot of control over that. But when it does post and it does get all the ads attached to it, I can go in there and delete those so that you're not just listening to me say like 5 words and then an ad for God only knows what comes up. So in saying that, hope everybody's having a great one. I wanted to ask you guys a bit of an open chat. It's going to be a quick chat tonight too. I'm in the process of working on all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to get you guys some varied content. And yeah, I've got gashes, scars, cuts all over my hands. I mean, I am mauled up pretty good. Now, some of this stuff isn't really coming up good on camera. Anyway, lots of skin abrasions, lots of blood being spilled here, mainly because I'm working on a bunch of stuff. So updates for the Triumph, updates for the boat. Big shout out to my brother-in-law, Anthony, getting the 2000 Mustang up and running. Good job there, bro. But really, there's another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Oh, and my wife's Jeep. So I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about some stuff that I'm working on now, what I've done, give you guys some updates. And, but I do want to talk about roadkill nights. And so we'll get to that in just a second. Beware, rant a-coming. So first and foremost, updates on Stormy. The engine intake, which I literally accidentally ordered. That's true story, by the way. That intake will be in a couple of weeks or so. I'm looking forward to getting you guys data on that. I think it'll be a fun comparison between a really good aftermarket intake system and a stock system, which is at least rumored to be one of the worst that Dodge has put on one of these trucks. Visually at least, the DS Ram is significantly better in terms of just how the thing would control airflow. But we'll find out with that engine intake. Again, a bit of an accidental order, kind of a happy accident, but it's coming nonetheless. So be on the lookout for that. As far as Revlon, aka Little Miss Chandelier, I got to tell you guys something. I drove the car the other day, absolutely kind of didn't really fall back in love with it, but I remembered exactly why I like Hellcats so much. I still believe that the Hellcat is the car that ruined the automotive industry for a lot of folks in a good way. But that being said, it's kind of fun being the bad guy, if you will, or to at least have a target on your back. So I did get a chance to take it out, had a lot of fun with the car, just kind of playing around with it, hooning around with it. But, well, I guess fun isn't really the word. It's just it's a thrill ride anytime you get a chance to run in a Hellcat. So I wouldn't call it fun, but it's definitely exciting, if nothing else. But I am still not really actively looking to get rid of it, but she's definitely... It's time for that car, I think, to move on to greener pastures. Now with the, Foxy. Well, Foxy's doing great. Matter of fact, I found some upper and lower control arms that were slated for my old coupe, and they're probably going to go on Foxy, mainly because those bushings haven't been swapped out in forever. So I will get to do one of the most familiar jobs one of the first jobs that I ever had working on cars, which is swapping out upper and lower control arms. So I'll be knocking that out here pretty soon with Foxy. The T595. So the other night I had to literally recreate a idle air control vacuum circuit for that bike. And for you guys that aren't in the know, and you're forgiven if you don't, because a lot of cars these days don't have this one part. An idle air control valve is a thing that cable operated fuel injected cars may or may not have. That is it's a controlled vacuum leak. It's a known vacuum leak, and it helps to either increase or decrease airflow through the engine. Well, let me tell you how the Brits decided to engineer the Triumph. Number one, no manifold block. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. No vacuum block or no vacuum manifold. And that's a bit of a problem when you have a 3-cylinder engine that's just shy of 1,000 cc's with 3 intake runners with a 1/4-inch hole sticking out of each and every one of them. So, as you may imagine, that popping and hissing that it had, well, those were lean pops. And with the completion of the idle air control circuit, all of that has been mitigated. Now, the bike runs amazingly well, but I do still have some work to do to it. It's got to get the forks rebuilt. I may end up having to get new forks for that bike. We'll see. I think they may be able to be remachined with some different seals. So we'll find out about that hopefully here pretty soon. But I've got one fork that's leaking pretty good. I've got another fork that's just a little bit on the leaky side. So we'll see. But the funny thing about it is my RC51 always had leaking forks. And so it's kind of a thing that I just ended up growing accustomed to. And I don't sit the front end of the bike down that hard either. So I never could understand. I've had dirt bikes. Those things just get mangled, and never had leaking forks with those. But with street bikes, it's always been a different story for me. So there's that. The boat is coming along fairly well. Got a new battery for that thing today. Everything basically lights up except for a couple of lights that need to be replaced or fixed. And I'm going to have to prime it. It's got a 350 in it, and that engine hasn't run for about 25 years. And so what I'm going to have to do is I have turned it over just to make sure that the starter works. We have a functioning starter, which is fantastic. But there's no sense in even trying to, I don't know, engage in any trickery to get the thing fired up until I've actually gone through the task of priming that thing. So I did pick up a priming, just a priming, whatever you call it, the oil pump priming rod. Anyway, I got one of those, and at some point I'll be over there playing with it. But I did have the radio on. The bilge pump works. The blower, just the under cabin area blower works. Battery switch works. And so I'm trying to think what else. I mean, the thing, I got it. Well, so it's got a jack drive. And so the transom will go up and will go down, but it'll only go up if you hit a trailer switch, which will allow the thing to go really high up. But it will go down. So that's good. So we've got a non-leaking transom that will go up and will go down. I can still trim the boat. But it's just not the most elegant way of going about things, but it works. So that's all you got to worry about. Let's see. Besides that, in the Jeep. Oh yes, the Jeep. So I had to put light bulbs in the Jeep. The problem with putting light bulbs in the Jeep, and that's where half of the blood was spilled today, as a matter of fact, is that those connectors are old, and you know how these plastic connectors get, they kind of break fairly easily. So I had to use the loop within a loop to lock down those harnesses for the light bulbs. So that's nice. And by the way, yes, you do have to remove the grill to get the light bulbs to a position where you can actually remove them from that light housing itself. So, but we shall see how everything else goes. But at least the Jeep is a complete task. So let me get with you guys real quick. See if you guys have any questions. Rome's in. What's up, man? Ryan is in. Ryan, what do I think of the Hornet GLH rumor? Not interested. Here's the problem. Here's the reason why I'm not interested. They're not giving us anything Hurricane 6 powered. And that's what I would be interested in. Anything to do with the Hornet, I don't know, guys. I want to get excited, but I feel like I'm obligated to get excited. It's not like this. It's not like a laugh that's just, you hear a funny joke and you laugh. That's not what this is to me. It's oh yeah, here comes the punchline. I have to laugh type thing when it comes to that car, if that makes any sense. Skid say maybe some Triumph content. Oh, that's coming. Matter of fact, I'm going to be pulling the wheels. Well, I'll be pulling the wheels off of it soon because it's got to have tires. The tires on that bike, even though they're practically brand new, they're 11 years old. And so they're going to have to get swapped out here pretty quick. So I don't know but that's coming. But once that happens, the bike will be, I got to have it go through inspection, and then I'll probably drop it off at a shop and just have them take care of the whole forks thing. Skids, what up, B? What up? But yeah, no, the bike's running great, man. In fact, I took it out last night in its current form, which is with no, you can see it doesn't have any play. It looks a lot like a Speed Triple right now. And it just runs good. But obviously I can't really play with it because it's got old tires. But I tell you what, the bike, in fact, and that reminds me, I'm going to be changing the oil relatively quickly. I wanted to kind of give it a flush with the first oil change. But I will tell you this, it pulls clean. Here's the funny thing with that bike, I've never been, and I don't know what it is about this Triumph, but I've never been tempted to really flog that thing. My GSXR 750, the RC51, completely different story. But this bike, I'll get on it, but it's never wide open throttle, full tuck, or doing anything like that kind of crazy. It's just a fun, real smooth, just chunky, fun bike to ride. It's a nice bike. I like it. So, but it'll pull smooth to 8,000 or 9,000 RPM. It's plenty punchy up there. It's not leader bike strong. To give you guys an idea, it's a lot like in terms of horsepower, it's like an older GSXR 750. In terms of like throttle response and rolling into it, if you guys are familiar, it's not like an RC51 or a Ducati where it's more immediate or abrupt, but it's also beefier than a 4-cylinder. It's really, it's a 3-cylinder. It's literally right in the middle of the two. So if you can imagine, if you could imagine a 750, like a modern 750 naked type bike with really aggressive gearing, that would be what this bike runs like. So in other words, it's a lot of fun. Sovereign say was watching Roadkill Night stream a bit ago. They ended abruptly, leaving us all hanging. That sucks. Eric saying, good evening, Professor B. Good evening, Eric. Could say, let it all out. Talking about me. So my take on Roadkill Nights is coming. Well, I'll get to that here in a second. Let me check with you guys, and I'll probably start creeping into that. Eric's saying he was disappointed with it ending soon. Raisin Brands in Saturday night with Professor B. What's up, man? Ardell is in. What's up? The main event. No, I didn't, to be honest with you, I really wasn't even paying attention to it. I hate to say it, but I'm doing things to do. I'll just leave that hanging there. Eric's brother's at Roadkill Nights. Nice. Base is in. Eric's saying I'm heading to Hemi instantly next weekend. Hemi Insanity, sorry. Thrall's car is so fast they murdered Herman's apprentice. but I don't know if Herman won against Throttle. Eric's saying the Viper won. Again. Throttle beat Team Soul Snatcher. Summer's asking, what are my honest thoughts on the Demon 170? Do you think it's a monster machine, or were you not that impressed? It puts you like this. It's hard to impress me. And that's not, I'm not trying to be ugly when I say that. It's an impressive car. But there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of very impressive things with these cars. And unfortunately, the Demon 170 came at a time where people have already been running 8s. And nobody's seen a Demon run an 8. I mean, it's until it's done at like Legion and Demons or one of my events, it doesn't exist for a lot of folks. And so, we're so far after the fact of the 170, a lot of folks have already forgotten about it. And because of the price of the thing and all the drama that came with it, a lot of folks are just really not feeling it. So there's a lot of that going around too. Gary, thank you very much. Saying, hey, use a little something for the projects. Appreciate the live chat. Thank you so very much, man. I appreciate that. Hopefully you guys like that I'm doing a few things a little bit differently. So I was going to try to get you guys, I will be getting you guys boat content here pretty soon. Matter of fact, I've got the priming rod for the boat, so I'm going to be priming that engine. May see if I can get it to at least light off and make noise. So there's that. But the bike content, the Triumph content, again, a little bit out of the ordinary. A lot of folks even forget that Triumph makes motorcycles. So especially one that's, well, now coming up on being 25 years old. So, but yeah, a bunch of cool stuff, a bunch of vintage stuff. And that's really kind of what I'm more into, is just kind of the experience of the whole thing. It's one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of Foxy and why I'm never going to fix the cowl on that car, just because of the running joke that my dad and I had, and it finally happened to me. So we're just going to leave it the way it is. The car runs really well. So definitely cannot, what is this Windows update stuff? Get out of here. Definitely not going to do anything there. So a lot of fun with these things, or yeah, really is what I'm more interested in. But let me get back up here. Thank you so very much. Again, I don't even know where I was going with that. Hopefully, like I say, you like the different stuff that I'm doing. Because, I mean, like I say, the Mopar stuff, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but there's just not a lot to talk about on the Mopar side. But thank you again, man. I really appreciate that. 1999. Got a party, baby. Thank you, buddy. Get back up here, guys. Oh, where did I go? Let's see. But am I impressed by it? The technology is kind of cool, but it's been around for a long time. The Demon 170 is a car that should have existed. Frankly, it's a car. It's the sensed E85 deal is something that should have existed with the first Demon, and it should have been waterfall-able technology from 2018, 2017, 2019. Where 2023 is a little late to be talking about since the 85. Summer's asking, what's an easier motorcycle to drive, fast bikes or bikes like Harley Davidson's? Harley Davidson's are incredibly user-friendly. I'm not a Harley guy. I never have been, but I do like them from a just riding standpoint. They're very forgiving motorcycles. Cruisers, especially like Harleys, are ergonomically friendly and they're very forgiving. They're instant gratification, big lobs of torque when you twist the throttle. So I would say something like a Harley is actually going to be a lot easier to ride. The sport bikes are weird because you don't pick up on how fast you're collecting real estate on a motorcycle. And Harleys, because they have a RPM band that's very car-like, it's more intuitive if you don't ride a lot. to ride a Harley. And so a Harley's really not going to take you by surprise. You know what you're doing with a Harley just based on RPM. There's like a intuitive physics when it comes to Harley Davidsons that fits well. Same goes for Victories or any of the cruiser type metric V10s, Shadows or whatever. They're all very intuitive, if you will. So to answer, that's another reason why they're so much easier to ride. You're used to the rev range. Sport bikes are a different story, and you don't really get a sense of how fast these things are until you're on the thing and you go just kind of playing around through the gears. And say, for example, if you've got a CBR GSXR 1000, R1, these are bikes that when you roll into the throttle at about 10,000 RPM, things change. I mean, these things are incredibly wicked from a roll. So that's why if you can beat one with a car, you've thrown a ton of money at that car. Rums is asking, is a solid drive shaft without the bearing in the middle a good upgrade for a street-driven Challenger? No, it's worthless. So here's the thing. I've done so much testing with drive shafts that I've actually I got to a point where I just didn't want to even think about drive shafts anymore. If you're going to buy a drive shaft and you've got a Challenger Hellcat, get the red eye drive shaft, spend the money. That's the one that you want. I know it's more expensive. Just get the red eye drive shaft. Behemoth gave me one years ago. It's been on the car since forever ago. I've never had an issue with it. Most guys that have 2018, 19 and up cars don't have issues with drive shafts, or very, very early 2015, 2016s did. But even with that, those are guys with modified cars. I know that Orange Crush never put a drive shaft in his, except he had a Wiles, and all of us had problems with that one. But anyway, since then, improvements have been made. And DSS, I helped to develop, or help them test. I should say I didn't have anything to do with developing, but I was pressing for twin CV joint drive shafts because of the way that in the angles and everything with these cars, you have to have twin CVs. So if you're going to get one, get that one. I know that there was there was talk of a two-piece that was being developed. But for me, red eye drive shaft, same as a Demon drive shaft. It's the one that you want. Yeah, I know it's more expensive. Just save up and get that one. Know where your money's been spent. I've run ludicrous speeds with cars with red eye drive shafts or Demons. And yeah, they are smooth as silk. So that's why I would say go with them. Let's see. Oh, Skid saying, yes, the Eurobikes, they have that character that we love. Duck owner here asked me how I know. Dude, try 9. I tell you what, I still get goosebumps. I know everybody hates the Try 9. Listen, my favorite Ducati always and forever will be the Try 9. I have wanted one for forever, and I typically forget that they exist if I could get my hands on one, so help me God. And the thing about the Try 9 is that it doesn't have a single-sided swing arm. It's not the prettiest bike, but I tell you what, when I was living in NorCal and had my RC51 and had my GSXR 750, I would get into tangles with a couple of the guys up there that had Try 9s at the time, and I had so much fun playing with those guys. And such a good sounding bike. Anyway, of course, there's better bikes out there. The problem with better bike, people say, oh, the R1's better, or this is better, that's better. No, it's not. Let me tell you how I know it's not. When I first started doing track days, and I was goofing off, playing around, warming up with the 750. This is at Thunder Hill. Hit turn 1, and this is on my second or third lap. And this girl in an SV650, freaking pink helmet, ponytail hanging out the back of her helmet, comes around me on the outside dragging hardware. Okay. There's no such thing as a better bike. There are only a lot of better riders out there that just happen to have a different motorcycle. I get all of that. And so they're all very, very good. The geometry is all very, very similar. So it just depends on the type of riding that you do and the type of fun that you like to have and what the actual purpose of that kit is going to be. But I am a major fan of Aprilia, Ducati, Triumph, really any of BMW to a lesser extent, Moto Guzzi. I mean, all the Euro bikes I'm more of a fan of than the Japanese bikes. They always give you a little bit different character. The Japanese bikes, they're to me are really more. They're like just if you were to put keys to, but of them, I love Japanese bikes, but I just like if I want to win a race, I'm on a Japanese bike or I'm on a Ducati. But if I want to ride because I just want to have a good time and speed is not really what I'm worried about, then the T595 is what I would grab the keys for. Arfo said, good evening, nerds. Hope everybody's well. Good evening, Arfos. So we're saying that drag pack with the Hurricane ran at roadkill, but I was underwhelmed. How did it do? I mean, did it run a number at least? Patrick's asking, if you put a roll cage in a Challenger, can it still remain street legal? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But put the right cage in it. A 6-point is fine, although it's not necessary. But the second you start putting halos and everything else in there, it actually becomes more dangerous than it is a help, because even if you pad it, you're not wearing your lid. And if you get in a wreck on the street, your head's going to be hitting things that are made out of metal. So something to think about. Arfo is saying, friend bought a higher mileage Hemi not too long ago, which is ticking. The tail is 70,000 miles. Wondering for both he and myself, what high mileage 520 oil do you recommend? Mobil One and Pennzoil would be the two that I would. Tickling the tail of 70,000. I misread that. Mobil One or Pennzoil, and really it's full synthetic, and 020 or 520 is going to work just as well. Typically when you see 0, it's got a better base stock, but that doesn't always pertain. Gary Zan saying, hello, everyone. Ram 1500. Hope you're having a great weekend. After the show, I think I'll take a ride. I like it. Loving the Ram 1500. I can't wait to get you guys the data on that engine intake. If you haven't seen it, it's an interesting looking intake. Skid's saying those bikes with the low end grunt are an absolute ball on the street. Give me something like that over a leader bike any day. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why I like the RC51 so much. I didn't have to have a fistful of throttle to have a good time with that bike or the T595. It's another reason why I like that bike so much. But yeah, those are the ones that I like the most. Another bike that doesn't ever really seem to get the love is the 675, the old school 675 Triumph. That is actually a badass bike. In fact, it was weapon of choice up in the mountains, up in NorCal. That and was it 848, 878, whatever the Ducati, the little Ducati is. Those things are nasty up in the mountains. SummerSlam is saying they should make a newer version of the Super Stock and call it Super Duper Stock. They could. More Super Stock. Super Stock. He's saying probably close to the modern Yamaha MT-09. Probably very close to that. Yes, I would agree. Something that you don't, the fun thing about this bike, and you know this with being a Ducati owner, I've spent quite a bit of time with Ducatis myself too. You don't have to be at wide open throttle to have fun with it. And leader bikes, modern leader bikes, you are wide open until the thing gets scary, and that's when you roll back. So, SummerSlam's asking, do I know every difference between the Super Stock and the normal Demon, not counting the hood and the PCM that allows for 840 horsepower? That's actually just more of where the rev limiter is as far as the 840 horsepower with the Demon revving out to 6,500, which I've actually done better dropping that down a little bit. But I know most of them. I mean, I can't think of anything outside of software that's going to be substantially different between the cars. Nothing that really would make a difference. Suspension a little bit, but that's about it. Other than that, they've got the same brakes, same everything else. Superstock's a really nice car. Him saying, "Love me a good B Mason rant." Nice, thank you. Ryan said, "I laughed at the GLH rumor, not because I was excited, but I knew they would screw this one up." No faith in Stellantis. True that, bro. Real talk. And again, Gary, thank you, brother. Him saying Demon 170 is a lot of flash at the very end. Kind of. You make more power out of that Coyote. Well, it depends on what you're doing. You make a lot of power with both of them. Raisin, yes, you do get more exhaust sound in the car with the rear seat delete. It's not a lot, but you definitely do notice it. Some are saying he wants to buy a Harley like the movie Terminator 2. That is a fat boy. I've never driven a motorcycle before. Do you think it's a good idea to buy a Harley? Don't get a Harley like that for your first bike. Get something smaller. There's a ton of options out there, but I wouldn't start out with that bike as a first bike. It's heavy. It's unwieldy. They're a cool looking bike. They look like, something military grade. But if you've never ridden a bike before, take an MSR class, Motorcycle Safety, or MSF, Motorcycle Safety Foundation. In fact, I even noticed that at one of the Harley dealerships, they were giving an MSR class. In fact, my dad at one point was, he may have been an MSR instructor. I know when we were doing a bunch of SCCA stuff, he was kind of doing his own thing outside of that. So anyway, the point of that, was he doing it or was he was taking some classes, or anyway, long story short, he was involved with it somehow. Go to your Harley dealer and just say, look, here's what I'm at. Here's what I'm looking to do. Here's my background. Be very honest with these guys and they will take super good care of you. Don't ever go into one of those dealerships with a chip, because I'm telling you, these guys pick up on it really quick. Be honest with them. Let them know what you want. Say, look, man, I'd like to get something used so I can get to learning on this. Do you guys host any motorcycle safety foundation classes, or where can I go? I want to learn more about this, and they will be thrilled to help you. They said, I drove my friend's 69 Plymouth Roadrunner. Don't care if it's a dinosaur. It was ridiculous fun doing pulls. That's the thing. A lot of people see, here's the deal. So let me just kind of buzz through here real quick. Let me check with you guys. I want to get into my thoughts on this this deal with Roadkill Nights. Yeah, Skids is saying Harleys are great bikes. Indians are good too. And by the way, a lot of guys, that you go from sport bikes into cruisers, into like more of the bruiser style, what's called a roadster from Triumph. By the way, if you haven't seen the new Speed Triple 1200, Jesus Christ, dude, 177 horsepower and like enough torque to power a Caterpillar D9. I mean, it's just stupid looking bike. Anyway, hot rod bikes is what it was what Triumph is building now. Just VMAX. If you're really old school bike guy, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say VMAX. That's what quite a few of the Triumph bikes remind me of, are VMAX variants. See, Summer's asking, what's the fastest motorcycle stock from the factory? Shoot, man, I couldn't tell you. They're all unbelievably fast, but any of the hyper cruisers like ZX14, start going down the list. ZX14, Speed Triple R is in that group. I mean, there's a ton of bikes, old Hayabusas. There's a lot of bikes that are fast. Basically saying, haven't had any issues with my Challenger. Very nice. Summer's asking, can Camaro ZL1s beat normal 707s in a roll race? Not, I've never seen that happen. Love me a ZL1 though. Skid saying, yeah, the 999 and the 1199 sound. Yeah, I've got a thing for the Tri 9. It's, to me, the Tri 9 is the bike that it kind of bridges that gap between the Japanese bikes and the European twins and triples. It's a little bit more, to me, it's a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say purpose built, but I just always love them. And the 1199 and the 1098, all good bikes. Summer, you bring up a really good question. Do you think they should have made the normal Hellcats and other variants much more rare than mass produced? When the Hellcat was originally released, it was rumored to be rare. All right. And my car is an early car. November of 2014 is when that car was born. And so I actually own a car that helped to get all of this started. And that's why it's so hard for me to think about getting rid of it, is because it does kind of have its own special place in history. It's the genesis of all of this. And nobody else can say that. So, I mean, you can talk, well, I've got the last green, I don't know, whatever, pick your color brake thing. Yeah, but you don't have the original. And for me, it's it's kind of an interesting thing. So anyway, getting back to it, the guys back then were saying, oh, we're not going to be building a lot of these things. Next thing you know, I mean, they built as many as they could sell, and then some. So it's it's weird that they made so many of them. It's not good or bad, or do I think they should have been made? It's just weird that they made as many 700 horsepower variants as they did. It should be more rare than it is, and it's not. Summer's asking, are jet skis like motorcycles for the water? Yeah, that's why they're called motorcycles. All right, so let's talk about this Roadkill Nights thing. I don't want to wear you guys out too much, and I do have to cut it a little bit short tonight. But let me just say this about Roadkill Nights. I don't have a problem with the event itself. What I have a problem with is I have a problem with Dodge being so deeply involved in this event and not bringing anybody any kind of news or any good things to be thinking about Dodge related coming into 2024 and 2025. So let me paint a picture for you. You're Dodge. You're telling everybody that EV is the way to go. We're only going to do EVs, 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 right? That's all you've been hearing. Kaniskas has been going on there talking about this Banshee thing that makes all the stupid noises. And it's only because of reasons that they were able to get the 170 made. And even that is something that is a little bit of a touchy point for some Mopar purists, but I'll let me move away from that and just focus on the topic that I'm trying to get through here. Where the hell are the EVs for Roadkill Nights? If that is the case, and that's the narrative that Dodge is going to keep pressing, why didn't they start handing out, oh, I don't know, Banshee motors and batteries? Let's put this in a Viper chassis. Let's put that in a Charger. Let's put this in a minivan. I don't care what it is, but do this and make something fast with this new powertrain. Last year, you had a little bit of an out, Dodge, because it was the last year of the V8, remember? And this is how we're going to send it. These guys are going to get engines and transmissions to put into their platforms, and then they're going to bring them to Roadkill Nights, and they're going to race them. Yay, boy, that was a cool thing to watch. Then, with some of the rumors coming out about the Hurricane, now granted, rumors are rumors, and they're not doctrine, they're not coded. But I will say this, people were looking and are still looking for something powered by that Hurricane 6. And it was rumored that that was the engine and transmission, or at least the engine platform that they were going to be sending out. And they didn't. They carted out yet another bunch of Hemi dinosaur ass power plants. They send these things, and what am I supposed to get excited about this? How the hell am I supposed to get excited about a car that's been out and an engine family that's been out for 10 flipping years at this point? You don't think I'm in on this? Okay, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23. This thing has been out for 10 bloody ass years. I'm not going to get excited about another Hemi powered roadkill nights circle jerk over this whole old ass platform. Stick to your guns, Dodge. Stick to your guns, because I'll tell you something. It's incredibly annoying for all of us that are out here on the periphery that have been flying your flags as high as possible, only to get passed over because we're not the latest it girl that's in this whole program of brotherhood of muscle, which is horse shit to begin with. And you're not going to come and hit us up with Hurricane engines and here's what we would like to see. Here's what we would like to see some content on, you content creator, you. Here's what we want to do with this brand moving forward. Here's how we want to try to drive interest. And yet you decide to go back out there with this old ass bullshit that you flew out there last year. It was neat last year, but after last year, we're all looking for something new, cool, exciting. Demon 170, who gives a flying crap about a Demon 170? Besides, the Demon 170 won't start hitting people's driveways realistically for another 30 to 60 days. How many months after it was released is that? I've forgotten when it was released. I've forgotten details about that car because I simply don't care. You've released a car and then had all of your dealer partners show up only to basically tell them, look, we know you're going to be charging over sticker for this thing. Let's go ahead and land it at 50 grand or 100 grand over sticker. You got $150,000 and $200,000 cars with some people getting that car at sticker. If you spent another $50,000 over sticker and somebody else got it at sticker, you just got freaking bamboozled. How in the world is that? And this is another thing about the 170 that's just a piss me off. The 170 it has nothing to do with the car. Thank you, 170, for existing. But the problem is I'm not going to cut down the 170 or the engineering work that went into it. But what I will do is I will be muy pissed off at the fact that when I look at a 170, you know that the person driving it got fleeced. And unless it's somebody that did get it for sticker, I feel bad for the person. This is something that what you want to be a part of. What? That you literally are not even driving the fastest car that's made. And yet you feel like you've spent a ton of money. These are people that think that spending $150,000 or $200,000 is a lot of money. Wait until you meet somebody that thinks that spending $500,000 or $750,000 is a lot of money on a car, or $1 million or $2 million on a car is just a lot of money. People will sell their entire family estate to get a Demon 170, not realizing that they will get clowned on by guys in Porsche 911s, Huracans, and you start naming off cars on the street that are stock, not modified. Keep the modified argument out of this. They're going to start getting clowned on by other cars and wondering, oh, what happened? I've got a Demon. It's the fat. No, it's not. It's the fastest Challenger that's ever been made in a very specific set of circumstances, meaning a well-prepped drag strip with ungodly mine shaft air. Look it up if you don't know what it means, but in short, it just means that it's cold and it's running really good and it's really low altitude. The reality is this: if you guys keep supporting Dodge as Dodge is on their way out with, oh, here's a Hemi and here's a Hemi and just nothing but Hemis, then what you're watching them do is you're watching them basically abdicate the American muscle car to Ford, and they're moving away from it, and they're not doing anything with a 6-cylinder muscle offering, which is 100% legit, a real thing. 400Z, Supra, Any of these things ring a bell? Oh, I don't know. GTR. Let's go old school. Typhoon, Cyclone. Um, uh, anything. Grand National, the T type. Just keep going. You had a Grand National powered Trans Am at one point. There are a ton of examples of awesome 6-cylinder turbo hot rods. The Stealth is one of them. Cannot believe they use that name for a freaking that thing that they call us. It's just, this is, you're watching a very uninspired death of a brand here. The fact that they didn't shoot and just go ham with Hurricane 6s in this should tell you all you need to know. Now, don't get me wrong, you're going to have holdouts. Oh, maybe they'll do something neat next year. Maybe they'll still be around next year. Because I'm telling you guys this, when the Dodge brand goes away, it will go away because nobody's buying Hornets. Nobody's buying that Stealth thing, the Durango replacement, which is a flipping joke, at least until they put a Hurricane 6 in it. And I mean the HO version, not just the 400 horse. Everything else that Dodge is going to make is going to be a less than symbol when compared to any of the Challengers and Chargers that you can think of off the top of your head. So my question is, Dodge, if you're going to go after events like Roadkill Nights, are you still going to be looking at Hemi-powered things, or are you actually going to give people what they're asking for, which is a real-life glimpse into the future so that we can find out whether or not this brand is going to survive to give us the cars that we really want? Conquest, please. If you don't want to call it the Conquest, call it the Starion. Bring that car back with the Hurricane series of engines. You can even have a Hurricane 4 as a base engine if you want, and then the Hurricane 6 standard, which is a 400, and then you can really spice it up with a 500 horse, and then do a 500 horse hybrid with it. I'm giving you the recipe on how to win this battle, guys. All you got to do is just it. It is all you have to do. It's a 2-letter word. It's just all you got to do. Just it. Well, we don't really just make it, dude. That's what people pay y'all to do. I really would like to see Dodge quit effing around with the Hemi anymore at this point. Unless it's truck related, I don't even want to hear about V8s coming out of Dodge with what they've done and the table that they've set and the entree that they put before us. I cannot listen to anything coming out of Dodge that's V8 based unless we want to talk about pickup truck stuff. That's it. Hot rod stuff, inline 6 turbo or nothing. And I want to see that being marketed heavily. I'm telling you, picture this. Black screen. Engine revs. You hear a blow-off valve, just a very faint hint because it's venting into an emissions-friendly system, but you hear that. Ruts, and you hear that. And then you hear something scream. It's a little bit different noise, but you know what's up. And then it's just blur right past the screen. Starion STI 2025. Holy shit, my fucking brain would fly out. It would fly out, it'd grow wings like a bat, fly all the way to freaking Detroit. It would land in somebody's Stellantis' desk, and it would just start spitting money out of every cell in it. Just little hints, tastes like that. That's what Dodge fans need. And we've done the old school thing with the Challenger. Boy, have we done the old school Challenger thing. Let's let the Cold War kids have something at this point, right? We're the ones that were around for the Daytona. We're the real Daytona, the 4-cylinder 2.3 turbo. We're the ones that were around for the Starion and the Conquest, the Stealth, the VR4s of the world, the old school 300Z. Okay. These are the types of cars that are awesome that we're looking for and we're cool with. It doesn't have to have a Hemi in it. But if you keep trotting this thing out, you just keep looking at your past. And you got kids right now that couldn't care less about that. They want their own stuff too. It's a great way to link old school and new school in a whole new package. It's a whole new sandwich, guys. It's that easy. This is so easy. It's like freaking falling out of your chair kind of easy. I don't see how. Anyway, I got to wrap this up. Let me get to you guys, and then I got to get to work on some other stuff. Let me check in with y'all very quickly. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, Sovereign's just they didn't post any numbers for the thing with the what? What anyway? Summer's asking, can you run your car until the oil change required, or do you have to go by the miles? I change oil very regularly, so I don't let mine go over 5,000 miles no matter what. Patrick, I didn't see that. That sounds funny though. Dan's asking, hey, Professor, recently my driver's side AEV got messed up. Off-road and exhaust pop and now squeaks and doesn't like to open. What he's talking about is that it's called an active exhaust valve. You need to get that fixed. That can actually cause a bit of a problem, and especially if you throw a check engine light. What that is in fact, it looks like this. It's round, but it does have a little bitty hole in it. And for whatever reason, if it's not able to flap open like that, you can lose power because of that. So, but yeah, make sure that it's opening and closing all the way. Oh, course saying, take the MSF safety course, get your license, buy the cheapest 250 bike you can and ride it for a few months. That's exactly right. And Skids is saying, yeah, do a motorcycle safety foundation class. My first street motorcycle after dirt bikes, of course, was a Triumph Street Twin 900. Love that bike. Perfect for a returning rider, an older rider with a responsible throttle hand. Those are fun bikes. Basically saying, I like cruisers like the Indian Chief or Harley Fat Boy. Those are fun bikes. I love them too. Skid saying he rode a new street triple at a demo. It was so amazing. Yes, the VMAX Yamaha, 2 wheels taking over tonight. Yes. Remember them doing the burnout with that bad boy? Used to love that. That and the second two were 2 hot rod bikes from back in the day. But yeah, the VMAX was the shit. Love that bike. Skid's Skid's hanging out with Sovereign. Oh, Skids. Yeah, I like the look of the chart. The Banshee thing looks the part, but God, it's so easy to get it right. I'm just so confused as to how they're getting it wrong. I mean, Dodge might not have EV stuff that actually works. Good point. SummerSlam, if you have enough money, you can do anything you like. But I don't know that I would actually go that route with that platform. Actually, that platform is a Chimera platform, and that means that it can be electric, internal combustion, or hybrid. Sovereign saying he can't get excited about EV stuff. It's tough too. I know. DM saying, hit the like button and get back in the chat. He's going in on Dodge. Base saying Bugattis are $3 million. Yes. Dancing Jesus, dude. Professor's been holding that one. Oh, Raisin, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate the contribution, man. Really do. Thank you, buddy. But guys, listen, that I've got to get going, but I just want to share some thoughts with you guys on that. Want to give you guys some heads up and let y'all know basically what I'm up to. So what you'll start seeing in the channel, it's just going to be y'all know what to look for. It's just going to be like, what's he up to in the shop type of thing, except it'll just be something really close. It'll be me doing something and then I'll just post it up. But I want y'all to see what I'm up to. I did not get any footage of me redoing the idle air control motor circuit on the Triumph. I'll be honest with you guys. The reason why I didn't film any of that is because I was pissed that I had to, if you've never worked on a motorcycle, it is 12 pounds of shit in a 3.5 pound bag. And you've everything, if it's not just right. And Triumph. So I was thinking about this Triumph. It's like it's named correctly because it's a little victory every time you put the thing back together and you don't have things completely out of line or out of whack. Anyway, like the bike a ton though. And, but the main thing was to get the job done, and got it knocked out. And it was a lot easier than it really should have been, but it really does work. One thing I will tell you is working on the T595, it's easy because it's got metal fuel fittings. Male and female are both metal. You just have to remember to have your O-ring kit. And I bought this whole ass O-ring kit just so I could have the O-ring set right here. So why is it not focusing there? Anyway, if you've ever been working on a T595 or a Speed Triple, it's a P8 78 by 19 O-ring, and it is not an 812-2, which is what I thought it was, is what I mic'd it at, but it is not an 812-2 O-ring, and that 812-2 will absolutely not go into that female fitting. So, it's kind of an interesting thing. So anyway, yes, at your local Harbor Freight, your nitrile, and that's the one that you want. They're metric. So I don't know why it's not focusing. It's picking me up. Maybe that's, anyway, don't know, but that's how we're at. But it is the 7.9. And, but you do have to replace those every time you swap out the fuel fittings, because they can get a little bit jacked up when you're taking them on and off. So, but with that, guys, I am going to go ahead and bounce. So don't forget, if you're watching this, you didn't catch the very beginning of it. If you made it this far and I haven't removed all the ads, because it's a thing that kind of automatically gets done. Thank you. But I typically will pull those ads, but as many as I can, really, so that it's a more fun watching experience. But trying to think, I guess that's about it. That's all the updates. So with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank each and every one of you guys. Would not do this without you. Love each and every one of y'all. And guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way worse than you know. Dad, miss and love you a ton. Oh, so speaking of Dad, I wanted to just say this again for some of y'all that might be new to the show. Yes, did recently lose my dad, but I will say this. This is something that's really cool. My dad was really involved in the Triumph forums. And what's neat is that anytime I have questions about the Triumph, if I Google the question about my bike, my dad will pop up as one of the answers in these forums. And so it's like I'm texting my dad. And as I've been working on this bike, it's been really cool because it's like I'm doing it with my dad. So now this last project that I had to do that solo. But yeah, kind of solo. But for the most part, anytime I've had questions, it's like, what about, it could be anything. I think the last one that I did was torque specs. And so I was looking up torque specs for the rear wheel, and my dad pops up, he goes, oh, and it was air pressure also. No, it was air pressure. Like, what was he running in this thing? Just out of curiosity. I typically run a little bit soft on pressure, and he was actually a little bit like me on that too. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, it's like, because he had so many posts and he was so prolific there for a long time, I could, just kind of dream up a question. I'd type it in and he'd pop right in, and it's my dad. So it's kind of neat. So anyway, kind of a fun feel good story. But again, guys, I got to bounce. Y'all have a great one. We will catch y'all on the next one. And that is a wrap. Adios.